Welcome in, everyone, to episode 8 of Behind the Mic, where we go behind the mic of all your favorite or soon-to-be favorite sportscasters. And today, we have a very special guest, my friend Liam Sample. Liam, thank you so much for hopping on, man.
Justin, thanks for having me. Love what you're doing with the podcast and being able to highlight broadcasters from all across the country. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, by the time we record this, we actually just got the first episode out.
Mhm.
It's so interesting because we're getting people from the high school level all the way to like the professional level. Like there's
Mhm.
some people in the MLB, NBA
Mhm.
I've been in contact with. It's awesome. Just like
Mhm.
the broadcaster community is small but mighty. So
Mhm.
I think it's awesome. For those who don't know, what's the broadcast journey of Liam Sample?
Yes, I mean, my broadcast journey begins as soon as I was a young kid. I mean, I grew up, this basically came to that tough realization that I would never be good enough to play sports. And I already had quite the knack for talking. I was very much a talker as a kid. And that was kind of how my broadcasting career started, was when I was really young and having those aspirations. So I went to college at SUNY Plattsburgh. It's a small state school in the northeastern tip of New York. And when I was there, our hockey broadcaster had like abruptly graduated in January. And hockey at Plattsburgh's a really big deal. Obviously, it borders Quebec, so it's kind of, and Plattsburgh's a small town, so it's kind of one of the big sports endeavors there. And the women for Plattsburgh hockey, they four-peated and for national titles in the mid 2010s. So they're just renowned one of the best Division three programs, both on the men's and women's side. So that was a really big opportunity for me starting off. And it gave me a ton of exposure. I mean, we hosted, NCAA Division three tournament games for both the men and women. The women got to the Final Four, I think, 2 of the 4 years I was there. So just being a part of that kind of winning program and that winning culture was just big for me, both as a broadcaster exposure wise, but also just good as a person, just to kind of see what it took. So I did 3.5 years at Plattsburgh. I called, 3.5 hockey seasons, just about 4 seasons. And then it was December of last year, I knew I wanted to get my master's degree. I graduated a year early from high school, so I had a little bit of time. So I'm currently working towards my master's from SUNY Cortland, which is, it's like between Syracuse and Ithaca. Those are both pretty big broadcasting schools, but Cortland is again a very good Division three school. I mean, they won the national championship for football back in 2023. And so just kind of being a part of those, like I said, same thing to Plattsburgh, kind of that winning culture has been huge for me. Now I intern for the athletic department at Cortland. I'm in charge of all the broadcasts for all the sports at Cortland. So that's been awesome for my career. And then the other part of my broadcasting journey is I've worked in summer baseball. I've worked for the Burlington Bees, which is in southeastern Iowa, the last 2 summers. And then this summer I'm working for the Clinton Lumber Kings, both are in the Prospect League.
Yeah, honestly, it's awesome just hearing about all the stuff you're doing, and I think you can agree that like New York is kind of like the Northeast and the Midwest when it comes to that. Those are just big hockey areas. You don't really see
Yeah.
that in the South. In the South, you have more football. You can see. I talk with other people about Texas football stadiums, and good lord, those could be professional stadiums by their own. It's amazing what they've been able to do. I'm just going in straight into your page, especially your TikTok page. You've had one thing that I love about that page is that you love to highlight the different types of calls you have, like the iconic calls you're trying to make. If you had to choose one, what's been your favorite one and what's the backstory behind it?
That's a really, really great question. There's been a lot of really fun calls that I've had over my career. One that like there's some that mean a lot more to me than maybe they were good calls. Like last summer for Burlington, we played a playoff game. It was the team's first playoff game, and some since they joined summer baseball, they were formerly a minor league affiliated team. And like we had a game tying hit in the bottom of the ninth. We ended up losing, but like that call meant a lot to me because that team was just like I really loved that team. Um, I would say like I've filled in the Eastern ECHL, the Coast, for the Adirondack Thunder, which is in Glens Falls. They're affiliated with New Jersey Devils. I did that 2 weeks ago, and I also filled in for them last year. There's a couple calls from them that are really special to me, just because that was professional hockey, and that was just a huge opportunity and a huge deal for me. And there was kind of like it felt nice because it felt like there was a lot of pressure, and that was sort of a big deal. I think the first game I was there this year, they won in overtime. The second game I was there, they won in overtime. So both those overtime goals were pretty special. Were pretty special for me. It felt like sort of a culmination of a lot of work and a lot of self criticism as a broadcaster.
Yeah, I got into broadcasting just last year, and it's
Yep.
like, oh yeah, the first time you're doing football. By the way, it's a four overtime game, and like every team scoring at will. Like there's like 120 points on the board. Wonderful,
Yes.
and you can only hear the audio through one side because that's a thing. Um, You talked about like the pressure because obviously that is a higher level. How do you adjust to that pressure? Like, what do you have like a certain routine you go through, or is it just like you just gotta like sort of like block out the outside noise and just like lock in on the broadcast?
It's a great question, and the answer to that is sort of twofold. The first is just the preparation. If you come into a broadcast well prepped, the pressure sort of dissipates slightly because you know that you have everything with you. You talk about my TikTok page. I got a comment on my TikTok page the other day. They're like, "What are those folders you're holding?" I was like, "Oh, like those are my charts, and I like almost need those when I'm broadcasting because it's got all the notes that I took from the whole week of preparation on there." So that's the first thing is it makes it a lot easier when you know you have everything that you would need in front of you, and just sort of the routine. I like to get to the rink 2 hours, 2.5 hours early. I walk the same amount before every game. I always do a pregame walk, and when I'm at rinks, I kind of know exactly where I want to go. And that's just kind of the routine that's worked for me. Those things kind of have developed over time. So those are definitely the two parts of it. I liked what you said about blocking out the noise. I think you kind of have to do that in broadcasting. Like you're always going to get people who don't like what you said or leave negative comments or whatever. But like you can't let that stuff bother you.
Yeah, if you watch the first episode with Rocco,
Yep.
I mentioned we actually got like a complaint from an anonymous parent the first time I did a football broadcast,
Really.
which and we never because they were gonna like research into it, but like they said was like the broadcaster stinks, and I'm like that's kind of funny, but you have to realize like you can I really do like appreciate that because like it makes me not seem crazy when there's a bunch of like high school kids see me come in with like a huge notebook just like looking over
Yes.
like the history of both teams even though like no one's watching but then more people decide to watch and it's the little things that like really
Mm.
make it big. And you mentioned before just so you've done so many sports. What would your favorite sport be, and is it more because of the pace or is it more because of the storytelling you can do behind it?
Um, because of growing up near Quebec, hockey will always be my favorite sport, and both from a viewing and like a broadcasting standpoint. I think my style as a broadcaster just works better to a sport like hockey. I've always talked really fast, and storytelling is something that I definitely struggle with. And in hockey, everything is so fast, and there's so few times that you can sort of butt in with your own opinion that almost that fast pace benefits my strengths and the way I broadcast a game. So hockey's always been like really really special to me, just from a viewing standpoint. But then like that broadcasting, it's definitely the sport I'm most comfortable with and the sport I'm the most confident in. Behind that, I've worked in summer baseball. It's been my third summer coming up, so that sport like it means a lot in a different way. Like I grew up watching a ton of baseball, but it's almost a sport I struggled with the most, especially early on. I think baseball sort of brings out a different demon as a broadcaster. It's a lot slower. You have to leave silence in there tactically. You have to be able to tell stories. And when I started doing baseball, those were things I really, really stunk at. So to kind of develop my skills in baseball has meant a lot to me. And so that sport will always hold a special place in my heart. But to answer your question, it'll always be hockey for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree because my color commentator, it's not that he's not into sports. He loves to just one thing he did over the course of this season and what in the baseball season is he told me that it was his literal job that he told everyone else was to try and make me laugh. And the first thing he
Uh,
decided to do was the first strikeout of the first baseball broadcast I did, like I'm nervous, like I'm all over the place. And of
yep.
course, the best baseball play was when a ball went right back at the pitcher. He caught it in his face. I'm like voice cracking. I sound like a bird. And he goes like, "Have you ever seen the movie Rat Race?" And I was like, and like that at that moment, I'm like, maybe commentary like cannot be like so serious, but having someone like a good color commentator to bounce off of like when it comes to certain situations like that is really good. You've mentioned the amount of sports you've done. Is there like a funny or like cool moment that like comes to mind as like one of your top three moments that you've done as a broadcaster?
A lot of like those bigger games will always stand out as like some of the best moments, if that makes sense. Um, but there's a lot of like really unique moments that stand out. One from this year that like I really really adored was so I did football for the first time this fall for Cortland and then Hamilton College, which is it's near Utica, New York, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
And like Hamilton's football program have this one. It's just so quirky. That's why I think I adore this memory. They have this rivalry game. It's called the Old Rocking Chair Classic. So
Rocking chair classic. Okay.
they bus a legit rocking chair like onto the football field. It's hilarious. Like it like goes back and forth. It's so great. It's just so quirky. And like calling that game, like I have a lot of really good memories associated with that game because like it was at the end of the season and it was my first year doing football and it was the first time I felt pretty confident doing football. And like it was just a great game. Like it ended on like a final drive in the last 3 minutes and like Hamilton hasn't won the rivalry game in like 30 years and they almost got it done. And like they ended up losing at the end, but like it was just kind of special and like there was a really good environment there, obviously for a rivalry game, even at the Division 3 level. So that one always stands out as like just something that was really special because it was just so quirky. But like there's when you work in summer baseball, and actually if you work in baseball in any capacity, the amount of games that you announce. So like the prospect league, it's like 60 games, 56 games in about 70 to 72 days. um, like you make a lot of like great memories just associated with the team. So like a lot of like my favorite broadcasting memories from summer baseball are just like the stupid things we would do, off the broadcast and off the field. Like I've worked with great interns for the Burlington Bees, and like worked with some great teams, players on teams, and great teammates, and like just being around that team constantly on the bus, getting to stadiums early and that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of really special memories from those summers.
Is there one player that like stands out just going off of that? Because I feel like every announcer has their favorite player that like
Uh,
they just radiate like emotion in a good way. Like they're funny, they're friendly.
mhm.
Was there any one player that like stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, going back to last summer, Cooper Schulte, he's the shortstop at University of Iowa. She just hit a home run 2 days ago. He was like our best player for our summer baseball team last year, and Coop was from Burlington. He was from New London, Iowa, which is right outside of Burlington. So he had sort of arisen through the high school system, like the elementary all the way to the high school system, like in that Burlington area. So like it was a really big deal when he had signed with our team. Like he had played at JUCO and then went to Iowa, and now he's starting in Iowa. And like he was just the nicest kid ever. Like just such a good kid. So much fun to be around. Just such a leader. And then he was amazing, obviously on the field. Like you don't get to the power 4 level in baseball without being a really good player. Like just so good in the field. And like his just such good value. So he was just fun, like just to commentate because like his bad games would be like 1 for 3. Like that was like it was every
Yeah.
day. Like he would just find ways to get on base. So like he was just a fun player to commentate, obviously, and he was great at short. But like being around the guy, like he interned for our team. I shouldn't put that in air quotes, but like he interned for
Yeah.
the team, got credit for it. And so like we were around him a lot. Like he would help out with field work and that kind of stuff. So like that whole experience with him, like I feel like I got to know him as a friend, which you don't get that a ton in broadcasting. So he's one that really will always stand out to me.
You look around like, "Hey, you guys are getting paid? Well, I'm not."
Yeah.
Anyways, but everyone has their motivations and like their people that they look up to when it comes to certain people that got them into broadcasting. For you, you don't have to name like a Mount Rushmore per se, but like what would be some of your top commentators that got you into broadcasting in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in New York, so all the New York sports teams were big for me. Like I would say, like growing up around hockey, Howie Rose, he's the Mets announcer. He used to do the Islanders games. Um, I'm a Yankees fan, funny enough. So like Michael Kay, John Sterling. I remember like at 6:40 a.m. is the Yankees radio station back in Plattsburgh where I'm from. So like John Sterling will always be like very special to me. Like my dad and I, when he would drive me places, we would always listen to the Yankees games. That's sort of what built that passion for broadcasting. And I think being around radio broadcasting was really important for me when I was younger. Michael Kay, the Yankees TV announcer, will sort of always hold a special place in my heart. But like those are the guys who are like special to me. Like if I had to talk about like the great broadcasters, like Doc Emmerich is like, especially
Oh,
being in hockey, is
in my
just the
I've had a few people come on here and say he's the GOAT, and I'm not mad with that answer whatsoever because
he's
he's just one sport. He's like the Wayne Gretzky of broadcasting, where he only did
yeah
one sport, but he was so dominant compared to like everyone else who did other sports. It would be between for me it'd be between like him and Kevin Harlan because Kevin Harlan just
yes
his ability to do like a bunch of different sports and all this stuff like that, and then Michael Kay. I will
yes
say I am a Red Sox fan, so I'm not going to
yes
be, and I'm not in the New York media, but Michael
yeah
K. Rants will always get a watch from me every like other week
yes
because just they're talking about the Mets, and then someone brings up how like they'll say like the show sucks, and then he'll just like flame the phone caller.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I mean, it's honestly pretty awesome.
Yeah, I
What's
mean, Doc Emmerich, like people don't understand like Doc Emmerich's vocabulary base. I don't even know like how his brain is big enough to be able
I
to
don't know how he
fit.
finds those words in the first place.
Yeah, it's
Like
amazing.
waffle
Like
boarded was something I did not know about until I heard him say it, and I'm like, that's a word. Like he makes you think about it, which is awesome.
you can find legit articles of like people sitting down and writing down every transition word. It's like, and growing up, like he's retired now, obviously, but like growing up, like Blackhawks, Blackhawks like back in the late 2010s or like 2000s, early 2010s. And like Doc Emmerich on those Stanley Cup calls, like I remember when they played the Bruins. I think that was in 2011, maybe.
Oh no,
Like that was
that
special.
was 2013.
2013. Sorry.
I don't want to remember it, but that
No, I'm
was
sure you don't.
2013.
I'm
That's
sure you
one of
don't.
that. It's that in the Miami Miracle that like I just block out from my memory. I'm like I don't
Yeah.
want to think about those calls whatsoever. It's oh boy, but like you can't help but say that they're good calls, and that's awesome. What's been
Yeah.
if going back to like commentating though, just like from people you've watched, what's been your most funny moment that you've seen come from a fellow commentator?
From a fellow
Yeah.
commentator, there's just a lot of like there's a lot of man, that's a tough question to answer. I don't know if I have a set answer to that question. Like I have a lot of respect for watching professional broadcasters and sort of how they handle like the really funny moments. Um I think of like there was this one time when I was working in Burlington. Like we had like some sort of promotion where a kid was playing on like a kid like there were kids like doing something on the field, and like I can't remember exactly what happened, but like the away announcer like started dying in the big booth next to me. Like he was laughing so hard and it was really funny. Um, and like though like that was just like funny because it was so like almost unprofessional. Like the inning was about to start, and we both couldn't stop laughing, but we got it together and both got on our respective broadcast. You watch like I watch a lot of Mike Breen and the Knicks, and like he has Clyde with him, and like Clyde is so blunt, he's so honest. Like it's so funny. So like watching how they sort of handle it, because like Breen is obviously such a great broadcaster. He's probably like one of the best basketball announcers ever. And like seeing like how their chemistry is, like they've been doing it for 30 years, and like just how silly they are sometimes. Like it's one of my favorites. So, like when you ask me about funny moments, like professionally, that's what comes to mind. And for me, that's what comes to mind was laughing before I had to go on air one inning.
Yeah, and definitely you would agree that overall you can expand on it if you want, but there's just chemistry between like everyone, not only just your color commentator, but just everyone in the crew is like so special when it comes to really having that perfect broadcast.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And like part of my role at Cortland is we've made every broadcast like 2 to 4 cameras. Everything was one camera when I got here. And like the people I work with, the other broadcasters that work here, like I'm so grateful for them. But like seeing sort of that transition has been really really special. And to your point about like, oh, like everybody in the crew sort of contributes, like we've expanded our broadcasting so much, and we've added so many different things to our broadcast that's been really special for me, is to see that.
Yeah, and I'm dating myself, but I graduated 8 years ago,
Uh-huh.
but back then it was just like like one camera. But my best friend, when I knew ever since I was a kid, he took over, and
Mhm.
now if you watch like the broadcast on WRPS Rockland, I'd put it up against like any high school broadcast
Mhm.
in Massachusetts. Like that's how
Mhm.
confident I am because
Mhm.
having a producer that's like so focused on like those types of things, it's awesome. Just seeing
Yeah.
like the when everyone's passionate and everyone has that same goal and everything just clicks, you're gonna have like mess ups, like
Great.
stuff's gonna break or like something's like gonna go wrong. Kind of like how my funny moment was gonna be like the crispy chicken tenders at CarMax when Kevin Hahn goes what
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's definitely like I whenever I watch someone it still funny to this day. But just
Mhm.
having that crew is awesome. I want to go off the script a little bit because
Yep.
we talked about Mount Rushmore. It's how I didn't want you to do Mount Rushmore. This one I've been asking everyone to do,
Uh,
but Mount Rushmore. If you had to pick 4 meals, your 4 favorite meals of all time, what would your Mount Rushmore be?
well, first one would be like sushi. So like
Mm.
maybe like a couple orders of tuna rolls would probably be my first
Would
one.
tuna roll be like your go-to?
Yeah, and it's like such a like I feel like after California roll, tuna roll will be the next one. That's like
Oh, I'm
pretty
so
low
basic.
hanging
It's
fruit.
California roll or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not a big sushi guy because I'm not a big raw fish guy, but like I know other people
Yes.
like do it. So
Like my grandma's from Tokyo, so like just
okay.
growing up around that food was pretty funny. Number two, very central to Western New York answer, like just chicken wings. Like I can always sit down and take down like 10 wings or 10 buffalo wings. Like that's always a really good one for me. Um, I love pasta, so like a big bowl of spaghetti. I know like you probably get that answer a ton, but like a
I've
big bowl
actually,
of
funny
spaghetti,
enough, in 8 episodes, I've not gotten that answer. There's been a
nothing
bunch of
makes me
different.
smile more.
So if you know him, Ford Martin, he does like
Yep.
stuff for ESPN as well. He brought up hibachi actually as his like main
Yes.
one. So like I've not heard spaghetti though. That's the first time that one was brought up.
Like a big bowl of spaghetti, it just makes me so happy.
Are you a
And then
marinara or like butter sauce type of guy?
more of a marinara sauce.
Okay.
And like my mom makes like a great like more meat sauce,
Yeah.
and that I love that meal. That's definitely one of my favorite meals. And then outside of that, like I love chicken sandwiches. So like maybe like a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich or like a homemade chicken sandwich would wrap out the top four. Those are four really good meals. That's a good question.
You brought up Chick-fil-A. Now I got to ask you, what's the goat fast food restaurant?
Does Chipotle count as fast food?
I'd say so. I feel like in
I
me personally, I would love it. Listen, I would love a sponsorship from Chipotle, but I would also say that like it's definitely fallen off. Like mid, I
uh,
would argue that like mid 2010
yes.
Chipotle like is really good. But would Chipotle be your answer?
Oh, it would. I couldn't agree with you. It's definitely gotten worse, but it's still my favorite answer for sure. Definitely Chipotle with just like, them adding vinaigrette. I don't know if you've had the vinaigrette from
Oh
Chipotle.
yes,
Like that was game changing for my Chipotle bowl. So
it's
that's really pushing over the
it's
top.
so funny because like especially in Massachusetts, like it's not a permanent thing. Like you have to ask, it's like a secret menu item. Like you have to
Yes, very
ask
much.
for it, which I think is crazy. And there, I haven't told the story yet, but there was like multiple times, especially at the Chipotle I went to, where like you'll see the people like the whole record thing back a few years ago. Well, they'll record so they get bigger portions, and like the coworkers would really like roll their eyes because they're like,
Mhm.
okay, here, just take it. Like they don't care, but it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, overall, again, thank you so much for hopping on. It's been
Of
awesome
course.
just talking. I wanted to ask you, you may not have a question off the dome right away, but non sports related, what's your biggest hot take? It could be about
Man,
like,
not
it could be about
yeah,
like TV, movies,
yeah.
anything.
That's a
I
really
had a person say a hot dog's a sub sandwich, and I was like baffled, but
that's hilarious. It's funny because like you say non-sports related, like I just had an egregious tennis take last night. So
what was
that
the
was
tennis
that's
take?
I just like I think tennis is like one of my favorite sports to watch, but I think tennis is like a tennis tournament, like a tennis Grand Slam, Wimbledon, French Open, any of the tournaments. I think that's the toughest test in all sports.
Hmm.
That is as tough as it gets. Like you have to play against a field of over 120 people. You have to play 4-hour matches, up to 4 times a week over 2 weeks. Like I just think that is such mental warfare that I think tennis is like the best test in all sports. Like I think that is just like a tennis grand slam, winning a tennis grand slam. There's not much that's tougher to do than all sports, in my opinion. As for a non-sports take, that's tough. That's a good one with the food. That's hilarious.
That funny
Um,
enough, that was my color commentator, and you're gonna see him. By the time this
yeah.
is recording, we're actually doing a baseball game tomorrow, and like we're doing the start of baseball season. So, I remember one time he like did like a screen like there was a football screenplay when we were doing a football game. Mind you, it's the first quarter, and
Mm,
he said, "Yeah, have you ever ran into a screen door?" And I'm like, "Yes, I absolutely have." But why are you bringing it
100
up in the first quarter of a football
100%.
game?
That's hilarious. My hot take is going to be, I think Parks and Rec is better than The Office.
Re-
Yeah,
That's
it's
hot.
very
That's a hot
very
take.
hot. I think this is what I think. So I truly believe. I think The Office might be funnier than Parks and Rec, but I think the character development and like the story of Parks and Rec, especially like the middle seasons, like season 2 to season 4, is so great. and like seeing how the characters develop. So I think like Parks and Rec, I almost like am more bought into the story of Parks and Rec. The Office is a great show, don't get me wrong, but like I've always enjoyed Parks and Rec more, and I think the story of it to me makes it better.
And you're gonna hate me, but I haven't watched either of those TV shows. I've yet
They're gr- they're great watch.
I want to get into them for some reason, especially TV shows. Like I think sports broadcasters all are the same, like where they're very meticulous in routine. I
Yep,
can't fit TV shows into my routine. I don't know what it
understandable,
is. Like it's just something I
understandable.
can't do. If you had to say, you mentioned that, but now you have to mention what's the goat TV show in your opinion?
The GOAT TV show, in my opinion, is basic answer. It's probably Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. Like I think as a package, like the cinematography, the acting, the writing, you'd be hard pressed to find better shows. Like I need to sit down and finish Sopranos. I think like that's the one that everyone always
I need
throws
you
and
to
like
get in contact with Rocco because he's watched that show like at least 20 times, like all the
yeah,
way through.
I
He's
need to do it.
yeah.
It's a big commitment though, and like you can tell Rocco that it's a big commitment. It's long, they're long episodes. Like it's gonna take a big commitment. I'm
If
watching Ted Lasso right now,
Yeah.
so like
Oh, that's
that's
such a
very much
good.
the hot
That one
show.
I've watched. That's a great
Yeah,
series. I love
me,
that. I love that one.
my
Um,
girlfriend and I are watching it, and it's just like it's so goofy.
yeah.
But I understand what you're saying about TV shows. It's very hard for me to get into TV shows, but I feel like once I get into them, I go all in, like
Yeah.
head first diving to the bottom of the pool, all in.
I feel like I would turn into one of those like binge shows because I can't like set a routine and like watch it every week because I used to
Yeah.
do that with The Walking Dead, and
Yes.
then The Walking Dead trailed off, and I'm like, okay, well
Yep.
that's I'm not gonna get that feeling from a TV show. I
Mhm.
kind of they kind of it was kind of around when spoiler alert, even though it's like 10 years old, like when Glenn died,
Yep.
like right
Yes.
when they turned him into a zombie and they just kind of went like completely sideways with the story. I'm like, not now I'm not interested. Like, and it's not because of Glenn died, but it's just because the storyline got like you can tell like sometimes, especially in TV shows, like lazy story writing
Hmm.
is really blunt and really obvious
Yes.
because they'll go back to the same like niche things.
Yes.
So yeah, that's definitely difficult. If I had a nickel for every time Rocco like mentioned Sopranos in a
Yep.
reference, I'd have three nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened three times. But I
Yeah.
mean, to wrap this up and go back to uh, commentating, I just wanted to ask you one more question, and this is really for everyone else,
Mhm.
especially since the whole point of this was just to get other people's journeys, especially since they aren't in the big leagues yet. Maybe we get some on the show. If you were to give anyone who wants to get into sports broadcasting or who's thinking about it like advice, what would be like the one piece of advice you would give?
Take every single rep you can, every single one. The reason I say that is it makes you better as a broadcaster to see different teams and see different sports. I think that what's moved me the most as a broadcaster in terms of my personal development is having to learn a new team or learning a new sport. When I started college, I knew nothing about field hockey. I knew nothing about lacrosse. And like those are two sports that I feel very knowledgeable in now. And it's from taking those reps. And announcing those sports has made me a better broadcaster because they require different skill sets. Like look at lacrosse, such quick. It's the speed of hockey with the transitions of basketball, and it brings out a different side of you as a broadcaster. And then taking every rep, also prepping new teams, learning new teams, meeting new staff. Those are gigantic experiences as a broadcaster and making connections. I've made some of my best connections by putting myself out there and taking opportunities that I didn't necessarily want to do and meeting the people that come along the way. I've met a lot of friends through taking new reps and kind of doing different things, but it's also made me a lot better at a broadcaster. And I think that you would agree with that advice. I see you sort of do a lot of different styles of sports for different high schools, and like taking those reps is what makes you better.
Yeah, because you can only go up from the eagle screech I did to the one time someone scored on a breakaway goal. Like there's no way you can go it up. I fully agree. Just taking the reps wherever you can. You
Uh-huh.
know, that's the cool thing about like especially like it goes back to the crew thing. Like having a crew that's engaged that wants to do as many sports as possible because we did three sports because we thought we'll see where it goes. Like this was like a
Mm,
litmus test for my first like full season, and now we're including basketball, like women's basketball, maybe
mm,
lacrosse, like maybe some other sports. Like it's
mm,
awesome. It's awesome to see that like sometimes you get those transitions. But
mm.
yeah, I mean, again, thank you so much for hopping on, Liam. It's been awesome. If you want to plug your socials, now's the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And you can kind of find me everywhere on, I think, Liam Sample PXP. I kind of try to do a good job keeping my work somewhat updated and consistent on there. So if you want to see what I'm up to, you can follow that. But Justin, like I said, anyone who takes the time out of their day to highlight broadcasters holds a very special place in my heart. So thanks for doing this, and thanks for highlighting so many in the industry. It's good to bring them out and give them a little bit of spotlight.
Yeah, if there's one thing I want you to do now, work Breaking Bad into your summer baseball highlights. If there's a play like, say, oh my God, he threw a pizza on the roof when it comes to a home run or something like that, because that will like be like, oh, he did that because of me. Like it's almost like the meme where it's like he's like pointing at the TV.
Yes,
So,
I'll do my best, Justin.
but again, thank you so much for hopping on, man. Anything coming up? I know you mentioned the baseball league, but anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of enter the workforce in the fall. We'll see what's in the works for that. But definitely the fall, yeah. My first summer working for the Clinton Lumber Kings, replacing Andre Tejada, really good broadcaster, by the way. He's out of
Oh,
Chicago.
he's awesome. I've heard of him
Yeah,
before. Yeah.
great guy. So we've got big shoes to fill out there in Clinton, but super excited to be a part of that staff and part of that team.
Awesome. Like I said again, thank you so much, Liam, for joining. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for watching Behind the Mic episode 8. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Behind the Mic.